Pull-ups are great, no doubt, man. I've got a nice sensation through my back ever since doing those pull-ups yesterday after not doing them for, dude, it has to be more than a year for sure, for a long time. Focus on barbells, barbell rows mostly, and then I come back after a year plus and I set a PR on pull-ups, which is a real head scratcher. It makes you kind of think what caused that. Obviously, I'm heavier several kilos since the last time I was in a pull-up stage, and I was able to put on 3 reps on top of my PR. So that's unusual to be away from a lift for such a long time, come back and set PRs. So then you kind of think to yourself, okay, what's driven that? I'd like to think it's the rows. Some of you guys yesterday commented it could be some of the other stuff like, the farmer's carries, strengthening the grip, the hands. And farmer's carries really do a lot, really. It's hard to quantify exactly how much they do, but they do a lot. And it kind of makes me think, well, you could probably safely conclude that barbell rows are superior to pull-ups because those, reps that I did with barbell rows have spilt over even to the pull-ups. Whereas for many, many years prior to, doing serious barbell rowing, I lived with pull-ups. In fact, pull-ups was one of the first things that I ever did as a kid. I go to a park and then rip up pull-ups, and as every skinny kid would know, you're kind of pretty good at pull-ups the moment you start them because you're freaking 50 kilos. It's very easy to pull up 50 kilos versus 100 kilos that I am now. But then, you go on, and then you realize, oh my God, deadlifting is really hard. Rowing is really hard, even though I had a nice pull-up. I even did weighted pull-ups. Which kind of makes me think, man, I still think barbell rows are better. Not to say pull-ups are not. I always use this, currency of thought where I go, whatever's harder is better. Now, that might not be true for every aspect of goal that you want. Like if your thing is, bodybuilding, no, deadlifts and squats are not the best way to go about it, right? It's a compound movement, it's a lot of fatigue. Bodybuilding generally, excels with isolation work. So in that aspect, probably not right. But in terms of like strength and carry over to squats and deadlifts, I think barbell rows are a little bit more effective because they're simply tougher, and they engage the core in such a way that is very transferable to the other two lifts, the squats and deadlifts. The row is basically very like to a deadlift, man. The start position, the bracing, what you have to do to lock in for a strong deadlift is exactly what you have to do with a row. And you're kind of practicing those positions with a lot of weight for many reps in that worst kind of position, especially for me. The leaning over, really low, short arms, deadlift reach, all that stuff. Like it's really beneficial for somebody to be in that position and just spend time while moving your shoulders and your elbows through these ranges of motion while kind of bracing. So I think from that perspective, it's so freaking beneficial, man. It will teach you to keep your chest out, up. A lot of goodness there. Whereas pull-ups, you're hanging. And even though people say there's core involvement, without a doubt there is. It's compound movement, you're moving. But you're not loaded axially. You're kind of anti-axially loaded, like you're hanging. And so that in itself does different things. Very restorative. Like I've always said it, if you got shoulder problems, man, you got to do pull-ups. Just hang in. Like it just creates space, it creates traction. Where is traction, there is, space in the joint and blood flow can get in there and all sorts of stuff. I love it. And, to this day, if you ask me, like, what is more enjoyable, pull-ups, without a doubt, man. I had a ball yesterday doing pull-ups. It's just fun. It's better existence doing pull-ups than rows. Rows, man, like, after you've done them, like right now, dude, I'm tired, man. Like, I feel like I've exhausted. Like, I feel like I've been laboring in the backyard. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I've been digging trenches, moving sand around, wheelbarrowing. That's the kind of exhaustion that I feel after barbell rows. Not with pull-ups. Pull-ups give you a pump. They give you a sensation of working out. The muscles feel pumped up and great, but you don't feel exhausted. This is exhausting. And for that reason, I think if you're not doing barbell rows, it depends on your goals, obviously, but I think you're making a mistake. You don't have to put 2 plates on or 3 plates on. Just do 1 plate or half a plate and just spend time in that position. I think it's much more beneficial for deadlifts and squats. And I would even say for bench press as well. It's just a better movement. Not to say The pull-ups are not, but I reckon use pull-ups as a kind of like accessory to rows. I love pull-ups, man. I absolutely love them, and I forced myself over the last year and plus to do rows. I don't like them, but there's just something about them, man. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.